It's upside down. Whoop. Am I quiet? It's still upside down.
Why log in and log out real quick.
You're getting down. It means you're under attack. They hear that sound.
Hold on, guys. We are going live on all of the platforms.
TikTok's having some problems here. There we go.
Hello, Denise. Hello, Linda.
Wait a couple minutes. Let everybody join in. Feel free, because we see over on Instagram, we got a couple people. If you have questions about hoodoo, this is what we're going to do tonight. So it's not necessarily a selling thing as much of just some question answering and possible suggestions. I myself have been doing this over 10 years.
Hi, Mike.
And since we will be having a class online, a long, about 8-week course with hoodoo with my teacher. So keep an eye out for that. He's aiming for February.
Awesome.
But as we wait a couple minutes, get everybody in, start looking for some questions on hoodoo, how it works, maybe a little bit of history.
This is Hoodoo Heritage Month, so that is the other reason why we're going over this.
Yeah. And there are some actual practitioners of this in-house, in-store. We will give you advice on things except for how to curse. A little side note to that. If you know how to heal, you do know how to curse, and that's all I will tell you on that. That's not something that I'm going to tell anybody how to do. Usually people who want to curse are coming from a place of emotion, and there's more that needs to be addressed and healed rather than just that raw emotion of anger and hurt. But if anybody doesn't, how soon does it get better than that? Almost instantaneous. But hoodoo is actually a blending of African American. It's a little more heavier on the African American side, Irish and Native American. Irish and African Americans could not get to the herbs, the stones, the things that they were used to working with in their homeland. So natives were helping them with, like, you need something to help with cleansing, try this sage. You need some protection, try this eucalyptus. Here comes different candle workings. Here comes mojo bags. Here comes so many things. The books that we have here on the table are really good resource material. Great books to use for beginners. There's some that are a little more advanced. If maybe you're used to working mainly with candles, but you want to test some mojo bags. The six stones, roots, and bones are really great for that. You want to try some different divination styles, roots, bones, shells. These books will help you with that. Does anybody have any questions? Otherwise, it's going to be really short to make my night easy. We are live on Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, all the things.
I see about 5 users on the infamous one that covers all of them.
All the things.
And then it looks like we've got a few people. And if you don't have questions on hoodoo, if you have any questions in general, just about things of witchcraft or metaphysical, that's what we're here for.
There is no one way to do hoodoo. It is actually a practice, not a religion, and it is an open practice. One kind of misconception is that you have to be Christian. You do not. You do not have to use the Bible, though there is great power in using Psalms and other references from the Bible in casting workings. But you do not have to be a Christian to use those workings out of the Bible in your hoodoo practice.
Rhonda just said she has this Sticks, Stones, Roots, and Bones book.
Yeah, Rhonda, how do you like that book? Are you finding it helpful? There was actually, I'm going to go grab it because I think I left it on the, or is there another copy
Juju
here?
one?
Yeah, another newer book that recently came out is the Good Juju book. It's actually really, really good. And the one thing that I found very helpful in there is she covers the lesser pentagram banishing ritual, and she tells you step by step how to do it, what to say, how to stand. So if you're somebody that you've kind of heard on it, but you're not sure what it means, how to do it, good Juju will tell you how to do that. And I'm actually going to cover that book a little more on this coming Sunday's book review, because this woman writes really, really well.
Rhonda said she thought the one that we just talked about prior to that, which is this guy,
Yeah, the Six Stones.
she says is an excellent book. So Hoodoo, Mojo, and Conjuring with Herbs, if you guys can see that on this book. And this guy is $19.99. It's a thick book too.
There's a lot of info to be had in there. Lachelle, Petals from the Black Rose, is a big fan of the jambalaya. Lachelle is actually another in-house practitioner.
And a lot of these books actually reference this book from what she was saying. So
yes. So that if you have not, checked out some of these books. I think most of these are on the website. If not, please send us a message and we'll get them on the site for you, or go ahead and, talk through these books with you, help you pick out one. Some of the common things that we have on the table or that are used commonly in the practice, the white and red candles, depending on your practice of it, whether or not you're using them for your ancestral altar, because in some practices of Hoodoo, the ancestors are very important, and you have not only your working space that you do your conjuring, your root working, you will have your ancestor altar. Now, I was taught that you honor them on Mondays, but it's also what day are you going to remember to honor them? And how are you going to honor them? There's no one way, because not everybody's ancestors are the same people. Exactly. This coming season, a lot of people will do the dumb supper for their ancestors.
Speaking of, Zach just joined us.
They will leave offerings out, especially on all holidays, on their birthdays. So on top of having that little altar, there's little extra things that you do for them. The red candles are used in some for activation of certain charms and mojos. And for me, when I set up and I wanted to activate the whole working area, white and red get used. Eggshells, an eggshell powder, cascarilla, used in protection. You can draw sigils, protection rites with the eggshell powder, sprinkle it around. Don't throw your eggs away. Save those shells, grind them up, put them in your bags. You can add a little bit to a candle. Don't overdress your candle. I hear that a lot, where people just saturate their 7 days. So keep in mind, these are facilitated and made to burn a certain way. If you overload it, not only will you throw off your burn, but they can become a fire hazard if that glass cracks because you've put too much. You can anoint and dress the outsides of the candles. If you can't get to the inside, you can also just etch and scribe, put a little bit of oil, burn it this way as well, if you're not using a pull-out or smaller taper candles. Florida water is another popular item used for cleansing, blessing, sanctifying. This is the more American green. You will also at times find it in yellow, which comes out of Peru. That one's my favorite because I use that in my shaman healing practice. And because I do the practice of spitting Florida water, the yellow tastes better. Neither one tastes all that great, but the yellow tastes better and it actually smells better. It's not as alcohol-y smelling.
Yeah, this is technically a cologne in a sense.
Yeah.
The fun little tidbit. Oh my gosh, as I drop that down. Oh God. Like,
okay. No longer podcast.
Oh, Lucy. I was just saying, yeah. I love Lucy. Sorry.
It's okay.
Love that.
The thing with you can also use Florida water in your baths. If you use it as a floor wash, be mindful of your laminate and wood flooring. It can damage it. So if you wipe it down, you're going to want to immediately kind of pick that back up so you don't ruin your flooring. Check your walls. Make sure you don't stain your walls and your paint. Different herbs that are used commonly. Burdock roots. Whoops. Pick this one up. The dandelion. We have cloves. Cloves are really good for protection. Hyjon. A lot of people like Hyjon. Good with your ancestor work. And hotfoot powder, which you can make or, buy pre-done. This is made locally by hand for us. Something that you're trying to get rid of or move on out, hotfoot powder. You can burn it as an incense, though if you have sensitive eyes and sign it, like, be wary of that. There's some really spicy things in hotfoot powder that can cause reactions. Rose petals are another great thing, not only for any of your love workings, including self-love and self-healing. Hint, that's always where, in my opinion, you should start love working, is with yourself before you try to manipulate somebody else. But for your ancestors, roses are very high vibrational herbs. Your ancestors that have passed on or crossed on are at a higher frequency. So these roses are going to appeal to that energy, that they're going to mesh better.
And Miranda just said Florida water is great on thresholds to seal your house and protection rituals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Florida is kind of like, it does a little bit of everything for you. I use it more myself for cleansing rather than protection, but that's just me. And again, there's no one way to do hoodoo. As you would look through, if you read through all of these books plus some, you'll find some common, like the properties of your herbs and your stones aren't going to change that much, but the different ways you can use them based on their properties, you'll find a million different ways of doing things. What works for you, what is effective for you. You may not hear so much in hoodoo the whole thing of keeping a grimoire, but I suggest doing it, because as you try different combinations and different techniques, you want to keep track of what works. This herb worked well on this candle on this time, or it worked well for this situation with this person who was dealing, with XYZ. So keep notes of that. To become a really true and good practitioner, you want to keep track of what worked and what didn't. A lot of practitioners, if somebody comes up, it's like, say to me and say, hey, will you do a spell for me? Do not be surprised if that practitioner says, I will let you know. They may go and do a divination real quick to find out if they should work for you. And if they decide that they can or should by that divination, or feel that they should, they're going to sit down with you and they really want to know what the root of the problem is. You're lonely and you're like, darn it, I need a significant other. Okay, that's a great want to have. Why are you struggling with this? So rather than just casting a love spell to draw a partner to you, do you have a lack of confidence? Do you have childhood trauma for something that maybe happened in your childhood that you need to address first? We're going to address that before we're just going to cast a love spell for you. We need to heal something that is blocking this desire that you have. So somebody that's willing to just off the shoot cast a spell willy-nilly for you, they're not really, in my opinion, doing you a whole lot of service, because that could just be money thrown out the window, may not work, or only half-ass work, because it did not address the core issue that needs to be taken care of before that loving energy can come in. I'm going to keep rambling unless somebody has questions on hoodoo, how it works.
Maybe anything that you see on the table that you're like, why is that on there? Feel free to ask.
And feel free, if you're locally, to come in and talk to either like myself, Lachelle, when Zach, one of our readers, if he's in, he will answer questions for you on this. He is also a practitioner of hoodoo working. When my teacher, Zane, is in, he will answer questions. And like I said, he's going to be offering classes again starting in February. So if you think you might want to, learn a little more and, go through the final phase with head washing and being indoctrinated, that would be a time to come in.
So this little book is actually a beginner's guide to hoodoo. So they have a bunch of the little books. Is this the same person that makes those little books?
I think that it's a series by the publisher,
Okay.
and the people are different.
Okay, but yeah, this is just the beginner's guide to hoodoo. Looks like it talks about altars and sacred spaces, herbs and roots, mojo bags, honey jars, crystals and stones, candle magic, doll babies, and much more.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy is $19.95.
And then over here, which we couldn't see because it's backwards, but we have the Crossroads of Conjure, and it even references like granny magic. And then we have Roots, Branches, and Spirits, which is kind of like Appalachia stuff.
Yeah, that little book was cute. And hyssop we do have.
Mhm.
So we do have hyssop. I'm gonna turn this around real quick, just to show you the wall of herbs.
Yeah, we have a pretty big.
So sorry,
apothecary,
I don't mean. Yeah,
we
we
wanna call it
literally.
that.
I'm sorry. If I make anybody sick. As I. Yep. There is a wall, if you guys can kind of see that. See that back wall of jars? It's all, and it goes all the way, like, it goes a good way. All of those are our herbs.
We're kind of getting to the point where I have to figure out how to put another bookcase in there.
So, but most likely we have the herbs for you.
Now there are some hoodoo folk magic books that will be covered on Sunday's book review. Sandy and I, here in just a couple days at 7:00, we'll be doing a live book review discussion. So if you are a book lover, join us there, ask questions. If there's a book that you're interested in, we can set it aside for you or ship it out if needed. But I am going to go through that Good Juju book a little more in depth this coming Sunday. There's a newer book by Matt Aron that I'm going to kind of cover. It wasn't as, I don't know, I wasn't as excited about it except for a couple little things in there. It's going to cover the 3 different ways of creating sigils, 2 of which I do myself. The third one, and I'm like, oh, I've heard of that. So if you're somebody who maybe likes using or wants to start using sigils in their hoodoo working, which is absolutely a thing if you want to do it, we'll cover a little more of that this coming Sunday in the one book. Laura Tempest Zakharoff, her book Sigil Witchery is a good book on that. I think we might be out of that one right now, but it's coming back. But yeah, never mind the noise in the back.
So Facebook user, oh wow, I need to come in there. Yeah, you totally come in, or you can always shop online. We have majority of our herbs and stuff online. If not, we actually offer a personal shopping. So our personal shopping, you basically do a video chat with us, and we will go around the store specifically looking for items that you talk about and what you need. So yeah, there's that. And then Luna Kitten, we did talk about Florida water, but do we want to talk about Florida water again? Because somebody's asked about what the Florida water's for.
So Florida water can be used in cleansing, blessing, protection. The one that we have on the table here, the green bottle, is the American. A lot of people like it just because how it smells. You can bathe with it. You can wear it. You can add it to floor wash. You can add it to wall wash. Just make sure you dilute it if you're going to use it on the floor. If you have hardwood flooring or laminate and it spills down there, hurry up and wipe it up. There's a lot of alcohol in that, so it might warp your floors. There's also a yellow kind that's usually a little more expensive.
I will grab that.
It's actually out of Peru. It has a slightly different makeup. I prefer the yellow myself. It smells a little more floral, less alcohol. And if you are in the practice of spitting the Florida water, which I do in my shaman work, neither one tastes great, but the yellow tastes better. But you would use it in the same way. It's a slightly bigger bottle, so it's like $7 versus $12. But Florida water is very versatile. You can use it for so many things. You can, dress it across your doors for cleansing as it comes in or for protection. Your ancestor altar, if you have one, if you're in the ritual of cleansing it down every so often, like you can use Florida water for that. Again, you can add it to baths to help clear your energy out and your aura. So many things. About the only thing you don't do with it is just straight up drink it. Or spray it in the eyes. Don't spray it in your eyes.
Yeah.
It'll burn like a bitch. But Florida water is kind of like one of those staple elements that you start with of using, working, and getting comfortable with. Any more questions?
Does anybody have any other questions or anything else on the hoodoo table? What's on there? Feel free.
The little skulls, I didn't address the skulls. Those are representation for ancestors. And here's a quick thing. Your ancestors, I actually had somebody ask this at one point. If you were somebody who you don't know who your blood lineage is, maybe you're in foster care, you're adopted, doesn't matter. Your true blood relatives will come for you. They're still going to be watching out for you. And then your family that maybe you're not related to by blood, but you called them auntie, you called them grandma, you called them whatever. And if they have passed, they are your ancestor. You can and should work with them. You are not obligated to work with all of them. If Uncle Mike was a jerk, you don't have to honor Uncle Mike on your altar. He's not welcome, and you're allowed to set that boundary. There's kind of like this misconception that you have to accept and work with all. You don't know your grandparents 7, 8 generations back. They may still come in for you and talk with you, but don't feel bad if you don't know who they are and you don't know how to venerate them because you never met them. We have any other questions? You're making this too easy. Otherwise, instead of taking a cup of coffee, I'm going to go home and take a nap. All right, guys. Well, if nobody else has any questions, I thank you for tuning in. Please stop in, take a look at the table, ask questions of myself, Lachelle, or if you happen to catch Zach here, feel free to talk with him, ask him questions.
If there's a heavy feeling ancestors, you can do different things to elevate them so you can work with them.
Mm-hmm. You can help heal that trauma for them and carry it forward. And that's one of the power. There are some people that will say, if you have the interest and the ability for doing this type of work, then you almost have that obligation to keep healing yourself and others. And time is not linear. So you heal yourself, you help heal those behind you. Even in that shaman work that we do, you can heal what was before you. So going forward, that is automatically in a better space.
Yeah, it is very informative. So we have all different walks of life in the store. So, and there's all different types of people that practice different things. So if you got questions on anything, I'm sure somebody can help you.
But please, if you're out of state and you like something, if you book a personal shopping, it is $10, but that's to keep all of the riffraff who book and then never show up. But we apply that $10 to your order, which a lot of times is going to help cover your shipping. But feel free to send a message and say, hey, I need some time to ask some questions and understand this, and can you send me the supplies? So we can do that for
Our
you.
hours, Tuesday through Friday, we are open from 12 to 7. And Saturday and Sunday, we are open from 12 to 6.
Mm-hmm. Mondays, I'm at home in my pajamas. Nobody's here.
The in-person classes, so those will be February, you said, for the Hoodoo course?
Yeah, that one, he is piecing together. I know he's going to offer that online, but we're going to see if we can talk him into doing in person as well. But it is going to be a 7-week course, and So yeah, it's pretty intensive. Like he covers not only the herbs, certain psalms, the real powerful ones for certain installations. He goes over broom magic, making different mojo bags, just different ways of doing it. How if you're somebody like I back in the day when I had more time, I would actually calculate the hours of the day for doing certain things. And he's like, "Oh, you know how to do that?" And I'm like, "Yeah," and it can be pretty effective. But he is going to cover so much stuff. And then when he does it in person, on the last day, you actually everybody's wearing white and you do the head washing. So it's a pretty big, very in depth class.
So will that be on the website then?
Yeah, as soon as he's done getting me all the information, but he did say today, February 21st, is when he would like to start that.
All right,
So
then.
keep an eye out. We'll announce it when we're like, hey, guess what? Guess what we got?
And we'll have stuff around the store too to make sure.
Mm-hmm. And that my teacher in this, he is also a sensei tradition, so he's got a lot of background coming in on this. So, but yeah, thanks for asking, everybody, and hanging out, making me feel like I know what I'm talking about. Special.
All right, guys. Well, you have a good rest of the night, and we'll see you on the flip side.